Thank you very much. We watched a number of trends develop in this opening round. 12 Americans went. You had 6 second-generation players as the sons followed their fathers who had been drafted, and then all the Finns. Darren Millard here with Mike Johnson, Sam Cosentino, and Damian Cox. But what this will be remembered is the Canadian fans soothing the pain of this past winter with no Canadian teams in the playoffs and having some high picks, including the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I think that's right. And look, as Canadian hockey fans, we've watched for years as top picks. So many of them have gone to U.S. cities. Well, not this year. And leading the way, this young man, Austin Matthews, who becomes finally the heir to Matt Sundin's crown as the #1 center with the Toronto Maple Leafs. My goodness, they desperately need a player, not just of his position, but of his caliber, of his stature, to change the narrative in Toronto. And just his selection alone does that. So he comes to the Leafs, and is part of a terrific young group of prospects they have coming. They've got 10 more picks in the rest of this year's draft, including the first pick in the second round on Saturday. So a lot more business to be done by the Maple Leafs, but I think Leaf fans can finally look and say, it's not the same old, same old. This is a team that's really going in the right direction.
This week was a turning point for them, the acquisition of Frederik Andersen as well. Winnipeg won the lottery by moving up 4 spots to #2. That was back on April 30th, and then added to it tonight.
Oh, they sure did. I love what Kevin Cheveldayoff did, and it starts with Patrik Laine. Right off the top, he's the best sniper available in the draft. He was excellent playing against men, playing against the boys at the World Juniors. He is the Jari Kurri Trophy winner and the Finnish League MVP for the playoffs, and then he does the same thing at the World Championships against men. What a fantastic year this guy had. But not only do they address the sniper situation, they go out and get a top-ranked defenseman. They had to move up to get him to make sure he was going to be there, but I felt strongly that they really had an inkling for Logan Stanley, the Windsor Spitfire, 6'7", 220 pounds, a guy who, if you worry about his offensive upside, it's okay because he's so big, he's going to be able to defend. He's got that nastiness in his game. He's got reach, body positioning, and yes, he can still make a good first pass. The most improved player in the Ontario Hockey League goes. They address size, they address goal scoring, and they address defense. Great day one for Kevin Cheveldayoff.
You might say the Calgary Flames leave the first round feeling as good about themselves as anybody.
As they should, because when Matthew Tkachuk fell into their laps as the #6 pick, when Vancouver took Olli Juolevi, there you found for Calgary the winger that will play with, or can play with, Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan for the next several years. They were looking for someone who could complement their game with the skill, make plays in tight around the net, offensive mind like those two have, and they found it in Matthew Tkachuk, and he should be a perfect fit for those two guys for the next several years. So that was a good start. But the one area where Calgary really needed to address their roster was in net. They could not leave the draft without a goalie, and they went out and got one in Brian Elliott from the St. Louis Blues, and he's had great numbers the last several seasons, not just because he plays for St. Louis. His numbers with regards to high danger save percentage, whatever it might be, are up there with the very best of them, and the price was right. Both the price to acquire Brian Elliott and also the price of his contract. There's other goalies available, but I'm not sure Ben Bishop at $7 million is as appealing as Brian Elliott on his affordable contract. So Calgary heads home, accomplishing a couple major goals, looking very good for next season already.
Half of the first 16 picks went to Canadian clubs, and you saw a big step forward after what was a disappointing season. The second round goes on Saturday on Sportsnet, and as of Saturday, it also opens up that window for teams to talk to unrestricted free agents. A lot happening around the NHL.